Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1674A, and today's date is September 26, 2018, and the title of the episode is The Transition is in Process. It's all going according to plan. Now, before we get started, I wanted to talk about the patriots that are fighting for our country. Every generation seems to have its own president. For some, it was Kennedy. For others, Nixon, Carter, Bush, or Reagan. Each seems to define an era. Our generation will have Donald Trump as their president. He was the one that took a shattered and broken Washington swamp and drained it of everything he saw that was bad. He will be remembered as a maverick, the man who drained the swamp. He overcame fierce opposition from Democrats and Republicans alike, a corrupt media, misinformation, and fake news to become the 45th president of the United States. Under his administration, America has seen its first major tax reform in 30 years, a renegotiation of the globalist trade deals, the termination of TPP, the process of getting rid of the central banking system, and maybe even resetting the system to make it a people system. His way has so far shaken the cobwebs from all corners of government, and he's only halfway through. Who knows what the next half will bring? To celebrate these first achievements in a fitting and lasting way, Noble Gold has produced an exclusive commemorative President Trump 2020 Freedom Coin. Minted from 1 troy ounce of .999 fine silver, the Trump Freedom Coin is a beautiful and striking coin. The guys at Noble Gold tell me that these are being talked about all over the country. If you're a Trump supporter or you like the perfect gift for someone who is, you'll be in good company. To order yours, go to TrumpCoin2020.com and put in the code X22 and you'll receive $5 off per coin for a limited time. TrumpCoin2020.com and put in the discount code X22 and you could be holding one of these fabulous Trump coins too. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, there are so many moving pieces to this plan. Everything needs to go perfectly because remember what we're dealing with. We're dealing with rounding up the swamp, dealing with going after the central bank. The central bank is the funding mechanism of the deep state. And all of this has to be done at the same time while trying to bring back manufacturing, trying to prepare the United States for the reset, trying to bring down the central banking system in coordination with other countries. All of this is being done all at once. In the meantime, the economy is falling apart. And I'm not talking about the statistical numbers. I'm not talking about GDP, this unemployment number, and all the rest. We know they've been manipulated from the very, very beginning. We've been over this many, many times. And Trump has just continued the manipulation, actually put it into hyperdrive. So this way, the mainstream media, the deep state, can't turn around and say, hey, you are to blame for this economy falling apart. But when we start to look at the economy, we can see that things are falling apart. And this is being done on purpose. I mean, if we look at new home sales disappoint despite home prices dropping and inventory surging. I mean, something doesn't make sense here. Now, remember, all of this has been deteriorating for a long time here. And it's a very slow process. And it's speeding up as time moves forward. And we're starting to see this because what's happening here is the Fed is raising rates and everything's starting to fall apart. And as the Fed continually raises rates, well, the economy is going to accelerate to the downside. And we're already starting to see this. Now, when the Fed raised the rates, which they've done today, and we'll talk about that in just a minute, we're going to see a lot of things change. We already see Kay Schiller out there saying, yes, the acceleration of prices moving up, well, that has slowed and now they are dropping. We see median home prices, they dropped from $328,000 down to $320,000. We already see this happening. We also see about 318,000 new homes were on the market at the end of August. This is the most since February 2009. And sales are dropping. Pending sales are dropping. Existing home sales are dropping. Now, when the Fed raises rates, what do you think is going to happen? You think things are going to improve? No, a lot more people are going to be kicked out of the market. We see insiders right now. They are selling like crazy. This is the fastest pace of September sales in the past decade. Now, a month ago, insider selling reached about 450 million daily in August, the highest level this year. Insiders sold more than 10 billion of their stock, the most of any month this year and near the most on record. Let's move to the present day here. The best informed market participants, they are selling their own stocks at the fastest pace in September, even as stock buyback announcements have hit record levels. Corporate insiders have sold an average of 400 million daily in September through Friday, September 21st. Trim Tabs found, adding that this month's volume of 5.7 billion is already the highest in any September in the past decade. Now, this comes at a time of record corporate stock buybacks, resulting in a perverse loop in which insiders are dumping near record amount of stocks to their own, far less informed shareholders. Now, this is very interesting because we can see that they know it's time to get out of the market. We see the wealth of the top 1% surpasses $100 trillion. This is more than the global GDP and all central bank balance sheets. I mean, think about what has been done here. Everything has been pushed up to the 1%. And this is always done at the end of the system. And believe me, this is not paper wealth. This is not they're holding a lot of dollars. They're holding real assets because they know what's coming. They know the whole system's about to fall apart. And this is why this happens at the end of a cycle. They push all the wealth to those people that are inside. They know what's going on. And they're not holding all the paper dollars because those are going to be worthless. They're holding real assets, land, gold, silver, stocks, you name it, that's going to be worth something after the reset occurs. Now, we understand that the Fed is going to continually raise rates. Trump has already put it out there by criticizing the Fed, making it known that he thought Powell was going to be an easy money Fed. He didn't know he was going to be an interest rate Fed. And this was the signal to let everyone know who is paying attention that the Fed is doing what he wants. He wants the Fed to raise rates very, very slowly. He doesn't want the Fed to do it too quickly, because if the Fed raises the rates too quickly, what happens? The entire system falls apart. He doesn't want the system falling apart until he preps the United States for this transition. And we can see that the Fed is moving at a very slow pace as it was before. They're continuing this. Now, the second time they're going to raise the rate this year is supposed to be in December. I don't know if they're going to do it in December. They might push it off to the beginning of 2019 to make sure that Trump, the Patriots, they can put everything into place, but we'll see what happens. But when the rates move up, what happens? Well, we can see already with the real estate market, as the rates move up, there are more and more people that are pushed out of the market. They can't afford the homes, and the real estate market starts to implode on itself. A lot of individuals who were trying to go to college might have a difficult time getting a student loan. Those people that are trying to purchase an automobile, they might hold off and say, you know something, rates are moving up. We can't afford this right now. We're not going to buy an automobile. So what else happens here? Corporate, government, consumer debt, especially student debt, they are all at record levels. With higher interest rates, it's going to send the economy back into a recession. And government, tax revenues, corporate sales and profits, and personal incomes all fall at the same time. Interest costs are soaring because of those higher rates. So from U.S. corporations to Washington's budget to consumers' balance sheets, the next recession might be the death spiral all the way down. And Trump and Powell, they know this. They know if they raise these rates, it's going to kick off a death spiral. And they're doing it at a very slow pace. This is what the Fed has done in the past. And if we go back prior to 2008, the Fed did this. And if you look at the interest rates, it looks like a little step going up. They did it very slowly. So this way, nobody realizes what is going on here. This time around, it's a little different. They want the system to crash. They need to crash the central bank system to usher in a new system. And we can see right now that Powell is doing exactly what Trump doesn't want him to do, which means this is what he wants him to do. He doesn't want this Fed to be an easy money Fed. He wants this Fed chairman to raise the rates so they can bring down the system. Remember, there are good guys, bad guys in each area of the government and the Federal Reserve. Remember, the Federal Reserve is not part of the government. And it looks like Powell, most likely, is working with Trump. Now, the plan, and we discussed this before, is to bring everything back as much as possible before the system crashes so the United States is prepared for this reset. Now, we can see that for him to do this, and not just him, there's others that are working with him, to push tariffs on certain countries, like China, to make it look like there's a trade war. He just couldn't let the economy sit the way it was sitting. Because this way, if it was just sitting the way it was sitting and the economy was deteriorating and it was starting to show up in these numbers, the mainstream media, the deep state would all be out there saying, oh, look, see the tariffs, his tax plan, it's bringing the economy down. Remember, the economy is built on an illusion. It's built on fake data. So Trump took this data and they manipulated it even further. It's already been manipulated, but they took it to the nth degree to make it look like the economy's doing a lot better. They needed to do this before they set their plan in motion. This way, it countered anything the mainstream media or the deep state was going to say about the economy. And if you notice, they really can't say much. They started to in the beginning, but once Trump came out with the unemployment numbers, the GDP numbers that looked like, this was completely impossible and he made it possible, they really couldn't say much. I mean, they're trying to do many different things by saying the housing market is falling apart, because what they're doing now is they're looking at the real economy, which they've never done really before. They always pretended everything was great. But now they're starting to look at, let's take a look at the real economy. Let's take a look at retail. Oh, let's take a look at this. And they're trying to show that the economy is not doing that well. But Trump has the upper hand because the people are now used to looking at the stock market. They're used to looking at the GDP numbers. They're used to looking at the unemployment numbers. They're used to hearing this over and over and over again from the previous administrations, from the mainstream media. So the mainstream media has kind of cornered themselves because people really don't pay attention to anything else except those numbers. Unless you're listening to alternative media, we were breaking down and going through all the different numbers to show that the economy is not doing as well as they were saying. And we can see from everything that we've been looking at from the past all the way up to the present, we can see that, this is one gigantic manipulation, and we can understand why they are doing this. But the mainstream media and the deep state, they're backed into a corner, and Trump and the Patriots, they know this. They know that there's nothing they can do about this because their plan, again, they have all different playbooks, and they thought they had this one. They were going to wait maybe a year or so before Trump said, okay, this is my economy. And then they were going to take it and say the economy's falling apart because of these tariffs, because of these new tax laws, because of removing Obamacare, doing all these different things. This is why it's falling apart. But now they can't. This is why he came out and he told Obama, I do have the magic wand, which means he knows how the manipulation game works. He can make the stock market look any way he wants. He can make the numbers look like any way he wants. And that's exactly what is happening right now. Now it looks like he has full control over the Fed, and they're working together to bring this system down. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.